John stood still in the middle of the living room, his hands hanging limp at his sides. He kept his head down, staring at the floorboards as his dad's voice filled the room. It was loud, it was sharp, it was heavy. "Why are we dealing with this again?" his dad asked, his frustration echoing through the house and out into the quiet neighborhood. John didn't answer. He couldn't. He just kept his eyes fixed on the floor, wishing he could disappear into it. Suddenly his mom moved quickly, stepping between him and his father. She raised her hands gently, a silent plea to soften the storm that was brewing. "Please, let's talk about this calmly," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the tension. But the yelling didn't stop. It just grew louder, and John felt smaller and smaller with every word that was thrown his way. He felt like he was shrinking, right there in his own home. Next door, Paul sat on the couch with his mom. The shouting was so loud it carried right through the walls, slicing through the quiet night. Paul's eyes lowered. He recognized that angry voice. He knew that feeling of fear it carried. And in that moment, sitting beside his own mother, the anger he'd felt toward John all day started to feel different. It was being replaced by something else, something he couldn't quite name yet. Outside, a police car rolled slowly down the street, its lights off. The officers inside pulled up quietly in front of John's house, listening. The yelling was loud enough, clear enough, to tell them that whatever was happening inside wasn't just about a problem at school anymore. This was something bigger. The officers walked up the driveway and knocked on the front door. John's dad swung it open, still in the middle of a yell. Behind him, John flinched, instinctively trying to make himself smaller. His mom immediately stepped in front of him, a protective shield. When the officers saw it all, the raised voice, the raw fear in John's eyes, the way his mother positioned herself to protect him, they didn't need to ask for details. They saw enough to understand why John had been acting out. Then, in one quick, chaotic moment, the yelling turned into action. John's dad reached out toward him, his movement too fast, too harsh. John's mom tried to block him, to shield her son, but the officers stepped in immediately. They were firm but calm, ending the moment before it could escalate any further. From their porch next door, Paul and his parents watched, silent and stunned. The scene unfolding in front of them was hard to believe. The boy they had been afraid of, the boy who had caused so much trouble, was just a boy living in a terrible storm right next door, a storm no one else even knew was raging. A little while later, after things had settled down, one of the officers walked over to Paul's yard. He knelt down beside him, his voice soft and his eyes kind. "We need to ask you something important," he said gently. "Do you want to press charges for what happened at school today?" Paul looked down at his hands, his heart torn between the hurt he felt and a new, heavy sense of understanding. Two boys, two homes, one single night that changed everything. Part 20 will reveal what Paul decides and what comes next for John. Thank you for watching Creative Talk. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more.